Hello everyone. Today discuss the topic microservice architecture. Microservice architecture, your application is placed in bunch of folders. Monolithic architecture, your application is placed in bunch of, not bunch of folders. It is single folder, say stored in single folder, but is microlithic architecture, your application is placed in bunch of folders. Microservice architecture is loosely coupled, but monolithic architecture integrated ante tightly integrated, that is known as a monolithic architecture. But microservice architecture is known as tightly integrated or tightly coupled is known as microservice architecture. Each folder responsible of a specific function is known as a microservice architecture. Next one, change mode in one folder but not affect in other folder. Suppose one change mode, suppose take microservice architecture. Now one folder change does not affect another folder is known as a microservice architecture. Some for monolithic and microservice architecture is there. Monolithic architecture is where component is stored in on single folder is known as a monolithic architecture. But microservice architecture is known as a microservice 1, microservice 2, microservice 3. Microservice 1 stored in different individual database. Microservice 2 is stored in individual database. Microservice 3 is stored in individual database. Each bunch of folder store is the data is known as a microservice architecture. This is advantages of microservice architecture is there. First one, scalability. Scalability, microservice architecture can be scaled independently is known as based on scalability. This is advantages of scalability one. Next one, independently deployment. Each microservice deployment independently, that is advantages of microservice architecture. Resilience, one advantages of resilience, one microservice failed immediately does not affect on other service is known as resilience. That is advantages of microservice architecture. Next one, disadvantages of microservice architecture. First one, increase the complexity, but development or deployment and maintenance independently, that's one complexity is increase. That's one. Next one, communication issues. Some communication issues is there, but independently stored in data or stored in folder is that's why communication some issues is there. That is disadvantages of microservice architecture.